Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this pot roast juices and all the wonderful stuff that was left behind and pull this bay leaf out first. We only put one in. We're going to pull one out. We got an immersion blender. And what we're going to do is we're going to hit all this wonderful juice with the immersion blender, and we're going to puree it down to a nice smooth consistency. It's going to get loud. Okay, so we hit it with the immersion blender. I'm just going to take a spoon to it. Just look to see what the consistency looks like. There's still going to be some chunks in there, and that's fine. But it definitely gave it a much thicker consistency. It looks more like gravy. Now it's not quite as thick as I would like it to be, so we're going to take this back to the stove, get it hot, and we're going to thicken it up with a little bit of a cornstarch slurry, just a hair. Alright, we've got a nice simmer going on here. I'm going to just cut the heat back just a little bit. I got my cornstarch out. I'm just going to use a kitchen spoon, a tablespoon, not a measuring spoon, but just a regular everyday kitchen spoon. Well, yay much. Cold water. Never use hot water. Cold water, cornstarch. You mix it up together so it sort of looks a little bit like heavy cream. Kind of coats the back of the spoon. Maybe not quite like heavy cream, maybe half and half. Once all the cornstarch is dissolved, and what we're going to do, we're just going to stir. And we're going to pour this in. Just want to bring all that good juice, all that goodness together, tighten it up a little bit, give it some more body. We don't want to make it heavy. We're not trying to make a heavy sauce because the dish is already heavy enough with the grits. All right, just turn that heat back up just a hair, and let's get this to a boil, or at least a good hard simmer, and then that way it cooks out all that starchiness in about 10 minutes. Okay, so what I've done, taken the juices from the Dutch oven, I passed them through a strainer, and now we have them here. We got our nice gravy right there in the bowl. We can take this out of the way. Yeah, we strained out the chilies. We didn't want those big chunks because sometimes those chilies, they'll still be a little leathery, and we got a lot of flavor out of the chilies themselves. I mean, they've been simmering for 3 hours. We hit them with the immersion blender and pulverized them with that, and if there was any pulp left, we pass it through the sieve, and all that flavor ends up right in here, and that's going to be some good stuff right there. So here we have our celery, carrots, and our bell peppers. Chase this oil around the pan a little bit here. Wait till I see a little bit of a shimmer. Some people actually put a piece of food in there. You start to see it sizzling, then you know you're ready. I'll start with the carrots first. Cut the heat back just a hair. Now, these were those carrots that we julienned earlier today. Now we're going to put in the celery that I just did moments ago, and then the last thing will be the bell pepper. I'm going to hit it with a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Even though it's part of the garnish, you still want to make sure that you're seasoning it. I know my pepper mill is kind of coarse, and that's just a personal preference. I like to see my pepper. Yes, it looks like there's specks of dirt in there, but you know what? That's my business. Don't worry about it. That's how I like to cook when I'm at home. Now, if I'm cooking in the restaurant, I might use a finer ground pepper. I might even use white pepper. It's looking good. Okay, so here we are. It's the end. We've got the pot roast is done. We've got the gravy done. We've got the grits prepared. We've got the garnish all set up. So now all we're going to do is we're just going to carve the beef, and then we'll plate up. So the beef has been resting covered. I'm just going to set it here. I'm going to change the camera angle a little bit, and then that way you can watch me carve it. And then we'll plate. All right, so the beef is on the cutting board. We just want to look at it and see where the grain is running. And you can tell on this piece right here, the grain is running lengthwise. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to cut against the grain, but a little bit on an angle, a little bit on the bias. And this is, oh my gosh, it's just so tender, it's just falling apart. Oh my gosh. So you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna shift gears, and we're gonna cut it with the grain. There we go. Now normally you wouldn't cut it with the grain, but this is just so tender. Just shaves right off. And what we're going to do is we're going to give it sort of a, I don't want to use the term stringy meat look, but that's kind of what it is. I'm just shaving it using the knife, just scraping it. I don't even need to use the sharp edge of the knife. Just look at that. That's just incredibly soft. But at the same time, it still has some texture to it, so it's not like mushy baby food. All right, so let's get our plate and let's plate up. There's a nice texture to it. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're just going to grab, this is going to be very free form, very organic here. We're just going to plop 1, 2, up there. Look at that. Even chefs make mistakes. That's all right. We'll catch that in a sec. I'm just kind of build a little bit of a mound there in the center. We'll get this out of the way. Of course, that's why chefs have side towels. And nobody's looking. There we go. So we got a nice pile of grits in the center of the plate. That is a little bit heavy. That's just a wee bit much, I think. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab some of that wonderful pot roast. Just shred some of that pot roast. And we're just going to lay some strands like that. It's like it's falling off on one side. And get a nice long stringy piece there, just like that. got our gravy holding hot. And yeah, I know there's some that fell down here, but you know what? That's all right. Plating food, and you know what we're going to do? We're just going to cover that. Ooh, there we go. See how that gravy just kind of runs off? So just a little linear, a line from front to back. And just a little on the meat there, coming up the meat. Just to kind of coating, just using the back of the spoon, almost like a paintbrush. Yeah, a little bit more. And of course, we can get the towel and we'll clear that away, make that go away. We've got our cooked vegetables, our jardiniere vegetables, the peppers, carrot, a little bit of celery, and you have to have some raw onion and even a little bit of green onion. Finish it with just a wee bit of cilantro. Alright, so I'm going to try to hold this up. We'll pan the camera up a little bit so you can see the height on it. Alright, there we go. Focus. I'm going to turn it very carefully. Oops, let's get it in the frame there. There we go. There. And that gravy cascading down off of those grits. And there we are, folks. We'll do one more shot from the top down. And I know fluorescent lights don't do food justice. Let's just move this a little bit there, center of the frame. We'll kind of turn it like you were the customer, it was facing you. And we'll hit it with the full lights. We'll probably lose that wonderful look to it. There. Now you can see and yours doesn't have to look like this. You can make yours however you want, but it's the braising technique. I mean, that meat is so tender. I mean, you just look at it and it wants to fall apart. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this. Have fun, and we'll see you in the kitchen next time. Chef Brian, out.